Okay, everybody. Hi, my name's Ben. Hopefully, y'all already know who I am. And I'm going to be wandering around, maybe looking at your screens if you're actually paying attention. Spent 7 years teaching. It's hard not to just kind of wander who's going on up there today. So, this is essentially an in-person version of the tips and tricks emails that ideally that you get. If you don't get those, it's probably your fault, not my fault. And you just need to let me know, and I will add you to our client list. And partners can be on that too, essentially for clients. But that has all of our webinar announcements, releases, release notes, and tips and tricks, which we're doing on a weekly basis. We got some feedback that was a little too much, so I now scaled back to every other week. And then every fourth week, there's now a monthly newsletter that we're doing. So we're just trying to get out good content that kind of talks about what we're doing, so that way y'all know what we're doing, so we can kind of do a good job. So I have like 17 of these. We'll just do as many as we can get through. Feel free to stop me at any time. I'm not like deep diving into each one and kind of walking you through how to set up everything. This is really to like spur a conversation about what we could do with these things, how we could use them. If you have an example of something you've implemented at your organization, or if you're a partner and it helps someone use one of these things, this is the time to talk about it. It should be a nice kind of discussion kind of about these different types of things. So let's start with next suggested gift amount. So this rolled out in February or March, somewhere in there. And essentially what it does is it leverages something new that we have called highest previous contribution. So we use highest previous contribution, and you can either import a value to highest previous contribution. So if you collect all that data offline and want to bring in someone's highest previous contribution, you can do that. Or you can have us calculate it with transactions that exist inside of engaged networks. What's nice about that is that you can also import historical transactional values and offline giving for your multi-channel donors. So if you have someone who's an online recurring donor, I'm getting looks in the back. Do I need to change something up here? No? Okay. So if you have somebody who's multi-channel, who's giving both offline and online, if you're putting their offline donations into engaged networks as well, we can use that to calculate their highest previous contribution. Then what we do is we take their highest previous contribution, and you're able to make these different next suggested gift strings. So you can see up here, I have 5 different ones. I have 4 single and 1 recurring. So if someone's HPC was below $20, this is the string they're going to see on the donation page. If it is between 20 and 75, between 75 and 105, and below $200, that is what they're going to see. And so what's nice about that is you can see that there are going to be different values kind of depending. This particular organization is trying hard to get people that gave between 105 and 200 to really kind of increase by a lot. They want to increase by 100%. Right? So if I've given $190, that third gift amount, I'm going to see $380 is what I'm going to see on my donation page, like as an individual supporter. That's what I'm going to see. And that's really great. You can kind of see all these different ones. You can do negative percents, and then you can also do plus and minus particular amounts of dollars. They are not asking anybody above $200 to go anything beyond the default amounts that are there. Right? That's what they felt like was the best choice. And then the same thing for recurring. Notice it's only for below $50 a month, so not total. So a month. So that is their HPC would be a month. And you can see what they're doing here. They're taking their highest previous contribution, they're subtracting 80% from that, and then they're asking them for recurring. Right? So that means even if I'm only a single gift donor, if I clicked on recurring, I would see that particular gift string just for me. What's really nice is we can round that to the nearest 1, 5, or 10. So that way you can either get weird numbers or you don't have to get weird numbers, depending on if you feel like that's a good thing. And what's really great about this is just one block. You can create multiple variants of this to use across all sorts of different campaigns. So you have a bunch of different programs that all have different directors and might have different ideas on what they think is best. You can actually give them the ability to adjust all of this. And then what you're not gonna see up here is the reporting. We give reports for every single one of these different gifts. So you would know for below 200, you would know how many people clicked on each one of those and how much you raised from each one of them. You know the percent that people clicked on them, so you can figure out which one does the best. Because in an ideal world then, after maybe a month, you would take the one that did the best, you would make it the default, and then you would try some new ones to try and see if you could slowly increase over time. You know, that's one of the big things that I talk to clients a lot about is like, how can we change your giving by, you know, 0.5% or 1% over 2 months? You know, really small changes. You know, because I'm not a consultant, I can't sit with them for 40 hours over, you know, a year to kind of do a ton of work with them, but I can do small little things. And these are the kind of little things that once you have them set up, you're able to do. So that's the next suggested gift amount. What questions do y'all have about that particular feature, or a way it might be able to be used, or a way you try to use it? Yeah?
Does this become like a template, like I want to use this string for this group going forward, and then another second question, can you get even more granular and does it tap out at a certain number?
So the two questions, the first question was, can this be a template? So yes, it's managed under your components. So you would just go there, you can share it across multiple pages. You would know what pages each one was on. And you build it in your components, and then you set it per page. So you have to turn it on per page. And obviously we can only calculate these values if they're coming in through an email. Right? Because we got to know who the person is, obviously. And what was your second question?
Is there a limit on the number that you can create?
I haven't seen that.
Okay.
And there might be at some point, but not that I've seen. Yeah.
So, to build off that question of coming in through an email,
Yeah.
are there fallback values?
Yeah, so it would just be the default that you set for that page.
Okay.
Yep. So the default, so you know, if it's your main donation page, and it has 5, 10, 20, 25, and I just come from your landing page as like a regular thing, I'm going to see the default. But if I come in through the email, I'm going to see the next suggested gift values. So you don't have to build a new page to have those things in there.
And then you, the user or the organization, creates those segments, right? The below 25, below 75, and set those equations. Those are not.
Yep. Correct. Yeah, yeah. You get to set all that. Yeah. Yes.
So I think your answer is no, but if you created a separate page for direct mail givers,
Yep.
and you had a coded URL that goes into to a special page, they're not going to be able to use this, right? They're not coming to an email.
Correct.
Okay.
Other questions on this? Those are great questions. Okay, next one, field dependencies. This has been around for as long as Engagement Networks has been around for, and I still run into clients who are not using it, and in all honesty, it usually tends to be clients who are working with agencies, because agencies are really comfortable writing lots of JavaScript, right? So it's like, oh, I'll just JavaScript the page to do whatever I want to do, right? But what you're able to do here, this is a real basic one. All this one is going to say is, if the donation amount has changed, you're going to set a different set value or a different swap list. And where we see this the most by far is just natively in the platform. You can have a recurring amount, and you can have a single gift amount. That by far is the most basic one that we see. Everybody uses it, and essentially is if you click recurring, then the donation buttons all change. Right? Because you don't want to have 25, 50, 100, and 150, and then click recurring and have those same amounts. People are probably not going to give you $103 a month. They might, but they're probably not going to. That's not going to be the best way to kind of reach those donors. Right? And so these swap lists are able to do that. You can also set values. And this is nice, especially if you're trying to do some pretty intricate things. Because what you can do is you can use this tool along with the fact that you can have hidden fields. So you can be setting values on hidden fields that then trigger other things to happen, all within one page. And what's nice is these all get saved to whatever form block you're working on. The other big place that we tend to see this the most is for honor memorial giving. So a lot of people want a donation page that handles single gifts, recurring giving, and honor memorial giving. Right? You don't want different pages. Now, you might build out a separate page for honor memorial giving that looks different, that people may get through some other way on your website, and that's fine, but they want their main donation page to at least have that option on it. And a lot of people nowadays are switching from the family notification, letter writing that would happen where I worked every Friday. We'd sit down and have to kind of manually pull all the data for every tribute gift at the university, and then like go through and create all that and mail merge, and it was a big nightmare, and it just took a lot of time. And what most organizations seem to be going to now are e-cards, right? Engage Networks has e-cards, they're native into the app. It's a different transaction type, makes life really easy. And so what a lot of people have been doing is, if someone ticks the box that says, I want this to be an honor memorial gift, instead of according out every single thing you need to grab from somebody to write them a letter, instead what you're going to do, you're going to say, do you want us to send an e-card? And most people are checking yes. All right? The first place I did this was I was working with CCH and the World Jewish Farmers page. I just started working with Engage Networks. They were the first people that I saw do it, and lots of people have done it. And they were adamant that most people are going to choose e-cards. And from what I have talked to with CCH and Cheryl, most people pick the e-card. Right? That's what most people want to do. Right? What's nice about our platform is that if your e-card page is directly linked to your donation page, it will automatically send that e-card. Normally, there's a confirmation step because we don't want people to be able to spam e-cards to everybody from your particular personal childers.benjamin@gmail.com account. So we have that verification step. That step is gone if you link directly from a donation page, right? But all this is handled here through these field dependencies. So that way you're only showing things that people need to be able to see to do that particular action. We also get it a lot when people want to start doing ACH or direct debit, right? If someone chooses direct debit, I no longer want to have my credit card as mandatory field, right? I no longer want to have those kind of fields because they don't need to fill those things in. The same with PayPal Online Express. If someone selects PayPal, you don't want them to then also then still see the credit card like lines there. Those kind of basic things are all handled in field dependencies. And then what's nice about the platform is those dependencies are then stored on that form block, and that form block can be shared across everything. So let's say I want to update, and we now accept ACH payment. I have 100 donation pages. I can go to that one that shares that block across the board, and update that one, save it, and it'll populate across everything. Right? So that's kind of one of the ways you can start to use a lot of these different features in the platform. Any high-level questions about field dependencies? I will say, if you're trying to name each of these slides, if you just go to the subportal and kind of type in what you're seeing up there on the slide, you're going to get the subportal article. That was kind of the idea. And so there's no fancy names in there. So, all right, conditional content emails. I tend to harp on this a lot. I know there are pluses and minuses to this depending on different platforms that you use. I get that. I know it might not be the exact way you kind of want to do conditional content. I really like it because I like that it is separate emails for each profile. The reason I like that is because it allows you to test each of those emails and see exactly what they're going to look like. You can also, what's really nice, is you can actually have different templates for different email segments. So this is our corporate account. You can see this is our tips and tricks email. And so what we do is for North America, has a different email template than the UK, than the fallback. A lot of it has to do with what's at the bottom in the footer, because we have a UK office address, and then the fallback actually has both addresses and both phone numbers on it. So those kind of little things, though, they make a difference to clients. When they're getting those things, it looks like you're taking a little extra step, you're making a little bit more effort, right? These come from different people. In this case, this one, all three came from Kathy. A lot of times, the one from North America comes from me. My counterpart, Jonathan, sends the B, and then maybe Clint sends the C. So little things like that. And what's nice is that you can imagine that the easiest way to do conditional content is to break out your donors, your advocates, and your supporters. So supporters mean people who haven't donated or haven't done an advocacy action. Now the problem is I may fit into both a donor and an advocacy category, and it's which one is more important. Well, if it's an appeal, it's probably more important than on the donor. If it's an advocacy action, it's probably more important than on the advocate. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to priority rank how the emails are going to go out. Because I'm only going to get one of these emails. And so based on the profiles I belong to, if I belong to multiple profiles, you want to kind of figure out, which one is the most important profile for this particular send, and you're able to adjust each send that you do that way. You can do up to 10 conditional sends. I have yet to have a client say they need more than that. If you get to that point, and you want to talk to me, let's talk, we can see what we can do. But 10's a lot. It's a lot to put together 10 emails. And especially depending on what your checks are. If you have to test all 10, that's where it really becomes kind of cumbersome. We're advocating for most people to do between 3 and 5. You have your supporters, donors, advocates, maybe you break out major gift donors. You know, one of the big places is major gift donors probably have a relationship with somebody. You can maybe start getting, if you have one major gift officer, you know, you can have that person signing, you know, just depending on kind of the size of your organization. Questions? What questions do you have on conditional content email? Liz?
I think I know the answer to this, but what if in groups A, B, C, the suppressions are different? Are you able to still do conditional content emails? Or like, it's only like the inclusion of this profile and then you can send it? Like, basically, I know I mentioned earlier, like, we're not doing conditional content emails, and I'm still trying to rack my brain of like why, but we're doing separate email campaigns, and our suppression values for each of like mid-level versus someone who's never done, it's huge. Like we have like 12 suppressions here, 15 on another one, 18 on another one, and I have a feeling if we're suppressing profiles, this is not an answer for us. Or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, the other thing that you're doing there is that your suppressions inherently are probably suppressing other people that are being sent the other email. And in this case, you wouldn't be doing that because they'd be getting an email. So it'd really be driving down to like, who are you suppressing, why are you suppressing them? Are they board members and they don't get any emails? Well then, yeah, you're going to suppress them just across the board. So at the end of this, just like when you're sending a regular email, you build your query. So you can always still suppress people at the ends, but it'd be people that you didn't want to get this email at all. And so really it's trying to like find the balance between, you know, is it really just a handful of people that should never get emails? Then that's easy. Is this a one-off one where we don't want a particular group to get one of these emails? Well then in that case, just like really focus on, you know, when you select your profile, make sure your profile build is correct. I mean, and that's kind of like, I feel like how you like start to work in that. Because there are not clauses in profiles as well. So you can start to build up that way. You're really, I mean, the way that I have tried to see this is, if you are trying to get really, really granular, I think this might start to fail at some point, and I think any conditional content fails if you're trying to get really granular. But this at least helps you be a little bit more donor-centric at a really broad level. You know, you're at least kind of breaking it out somewhat. So, and that'd be one of those places, Liz, where it'd be great to like, the next time you're going to do it, to talk for 20 minutes, to kind of see what you're trying to do, to see if there's an opportunity to kind of start to do some of it that way. Other questions on conditional content? All right. Content on pages. I don't know how many people know about this, so that's why I'm bringing it up. So, if you sat through the 10-15, you have 3 programs at your organization, right? You have eco-justice, indigenous peoples, and climate change. And you can around those 3 things. Well, I'm part of the climate change profile. This main donation page normally talks about all 3 of those things. But on the one that's towards people that are interested in climate change, the main focus of the page is going to be on climate change. It may also talk about the other 2 programs, but its main focus is going to be there. And what's nice is it's just one page. It's not a bunch of separate pages. And you know, there may be some people, you know, who are like, well, it's just building one more page. But one more page turns into like 5 more pages, turns into 15 more pages. You know, and all of a sudden you have 727 pages. And then you have to make one update on 727 pages because, you know, some C-level person decided like, oh, I don't like that green, right? And now you got to go change that green for some reason, right? So those are the kind of things that, you know, if you can kind of stay within kind of one page for a lot of these things, you know, maybe you're able to raise a little more money, which is always a good thing. So that's conditional content on pages. The other piece of that is we do localize. So you're going to see languages enabled on this page. So if you enable localization, I'm going to pick on you real quick. How many localizations do you have for Human Rights Watch?
8 off the top of my head.
Okay.
Yes.
And the most recent one we're working with them was on getting Arabic to work right. Right? Obviously, you know, we write this way, Arabic you write the other way, right? So our forum blocks, we needed to do some like work like around that to make the page like look right and render right. I say we like it was me doing it, but it wasn't. It was Liz doing it. Human Rights Watch. But this is like one of those places where, you know, the biggest place we see that isn't necessarily in some of our international organizations. It's really in our Canadian marketplace, right? So more than a third of our clients, are Canadian clients. And that is one of the biggest places where they at least want Canadian English and Canadian French. If they want to get really fancy, they're going to go to Montreal and have a big fight, right? Like that's like, yeah, that's for the Canadians, right? But that's kind of one of those places though, you know, if you can spell honor with a U for your Canadian clients, it makes a difference. Like, I don't know how big of a difference it's going to make, but it could make a difference to that one person who does want to give that away, right? Just talking to people and even writing in the language that they're used to seeing, even if it's still just like English, it makes a difference to people out there. You're being more donor-centric and you're really doing a good job there. And that is based on the browser settings. So it doesn't do anything else. So even if I'm here in the States, but I have my browser settings set to Arabic, I would see Human Rights Watch's page in Arabic. That's what my browser settings are, right? And so that's really nice. That means that you don't have to worry about like geo-tagging and all that kind of stuff. It's literally just like, what does this donor want to see it in? And if I can present it that way, they're going to see it. One of the things that we actually just changed, which is so exciting, is we used to not allow the template to be localized, and now the template can actually be localized. So you can localize elements in the header footer to pull in things there. Because that was one of the things where they'd have to like hide their footer would actually be a form block at the bottom of the page because they wanted to localize it. Now you don't have to, because now it can actually just be built into the template. Questions about conditional content on pages and localization? Google Analytics. It is native inside the app or the platform. I just want to make sure you knew about it. It's under email and email settings. This one will probably be a quicker one. I can't preach about Google Analytics. I know it's a good thing. I'm sure there's smart people who know how to do it. I know that we have it here. You just have to click that little button that says Enable Google Analytics. And then that means on all of your emails, including your marketing automation emails, you can set your UTM campaigns. And it's just right there in the email builder. We just added it for marketing automation, I think, 4 months ago in the release. But you're able to do it there. It's nice if you're kind of, if you know what to do with Google Analytics and you're looking at this page makes sense to you. If you don't, this page doesn't make sense to you. That's okay, all right? But essentially, you have a medium and you have a source, and then you just have to list the domains that you want your Google Analytics to look for, all right? And then you're able to set those campaigns on each of your emails. And what's nice is the way that our conditional email platform is constructed, since you're building individual emails for each one of those conditions, they can actually have different campaigns. So you have different UTM campaigns for each one of those conditional settings, right? Once again, that's one of the pluses that you get for having to build out each ones. You know, that kind of like is leverage against some of the things you might not be able to do. So those are kind of the things that you're always kind of working on there. That little thing that's hidden is the split test email settings. You can click on that if you want. And that's what kind of gives you control whether or not, if you're saying a split test, do we automatically send one? Or will you go in and choose the winner each time? And so that's where that's set, in case you ever wanted to look at that. Questions on this page?
The automatic generation for content and campaign, is that from a specific area in the email campaign build? Or, so it says note UTM content and UTM campaign will be automatically generated from the email campaign itself?
Yes.
Is there a specific area where you can kind of control that a little bit, or is it 100%?
Yeah, so when you're in there, you set the whole thing yourself.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there's fields there.
There are fields there. They're literally like, if you select this to be enabled by ticking that box, you'll literally see it next to the subject line when you're building your email. Yep, and you type in whatever you want to be there. I type things like TNT11 because I don't know what to type there for tips and tricks number 11. Sorry. So let's see if we can see it on, yeah, here you go. So this is where it's going to go, into that box right there. Okay, we added premium donations, I think, in April or May. And this is one of those things, premium doesn't mean it costs you guys more, it means that we offer premiums, that you can offer premiums to people, right? And this is one of those things where I am pretty excited to see some people try and use this. Especially, one of the other tips and tricks I have in this is talking about split testing. And I think you could do some really interesting things. Maybe I'm talking to agency people right now, but where you're split testing, how does a premium do versus a non-premium page, right? Same gift amount, like what if we give away a sticker, right? A real basic gift, like that's a really small premium. Stickers and magnets are great because they're actually really easy to produce. unless you're going through a rebranding, they're probably not going to change. You can use it for a couple of years, so if you order a whole bunch of them, you're going to be able to use them. And it's really nice. So essentially, what you have to do is to get this very nice thing to show up on your page, it's literally just a component. You just click on premium content, you just click on it, you just drag it into your form block like you do for everything else in Page Builder. You just have to have set it up over here. So what we actually built out is we built out an entire content management system inside of Engage Networks, because we are in the process of also adding an e-commerce module. So if you look at your Engage Networks, anytime since Friday at like 11:30 p.m., there's now e-commerce available inside of Engage Networks. We just started with symbolic giving. So think about, I donate $25, this is going to supply X number of nets to a village, right? So something like that, symbolic giving, where that exact $25 is going to be used for exactly that thing, but that's what $25 gets at that organization. So we had to build out this whole content management. And so this is what it looks like. Essentially, you have a name description. You can put in a SKU. So if you're getting really technical and maybe you're working with a like another organization that would help you like pack everything together, whatever that's called, fulfillment company. Thank you. You can have the SKU right in there just to make your life a little bit easier, right? Just when you're kind of doing those things. You can say how much stock you have and the price. The price helps with receiving. You can upload images. You can have product variants for size, color, those kind of things. This would list all your variant options, and then you're just able to drag it over onto the page. What's nice then is you can say how much someone has to give in order to get a particular gift. So if they give below 25, we're not even offering that. So if you give 50, you get our special tote bag, give 100, you get a t-shirt. And so that's going to change as they select like different dollar amounts. They're going to see different items are going to appear there. And this is just one of those things where it is a different page type in Page Builder. But if you're sharing components, it just uses all the same component pieces. You just have to move them all over. So it's one of those times where, and this should honestly be a tip and trick, is saving things to your library is very invaluable, right? You can just end up saving a lot of time if you're saving things to your library, so you're able to use it in different places within the platform. So that's premium donation pages. Once again, we're just kind of shooting through a couple things. Let's see what questions we have. Let's start, Steph, by me? Yeah.
So, this is a,
Just ask me.
okay. Why isn't this just a shared component? Why is it a different type of donation page?
Because it is a different transactional row in our export. Because we actually have to get all the shipping information and kind of pass that through. So essentially, we have the donation amount is a row, and then the premium is its own row. Because the way, without getting too much into it, the way that our database is structured, we have like columns 1 through 37, and we don't change those columns. And so we need a new transaction row, so that way people are able to continue their mappings. That's a little into the weeds, but that's essentially one.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So for the multiple images, I want to have not just multiple images of premiums, but for example, all the shirt says bison, and I want a picture of bison.
Okay.
That is just one of the, you just add that into the images and you can position
Mm-hmm.
the images where you want.
Yep. So that's part of this like, component when you're building out the page then. Yeah. Liz?
I hadn't really thought about it until this session. Are any clients going to use this for like a silent auction? Has there been any conversations about like, because I mean the functionality is really similar in a lot of ways, but I'm just wondering, is anybody talking about that, or like is your staff talking about utilizing this for silent auctions for events?
I don't think using this, I think the e-commerce store would probably be better. Because essentially what you could do is you could label something as like, there's only one of that item in stock. You somehow not, you can't let it, it'd be interesting. Yeah, I mean, that'd be something you talk to Dan about and kind of see what kind of thoughts there, or talk to someone being engaged or something to kind of see like, how can we do this? How can we make something like this happen? Because you can't let people buy it. And so it's just a matter of like, how do you, is it just like a test gateway on the page? Because then that would allow people to like make like payments, and then it would know to have to like increase the price each time.
Or pledges at some point.
Or what?
Pledges, and then like the highest pledge.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could certainly play around with this some and kind of see what can happen. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Is there any logic related to like selected, you'll see the tote bag. If you have 100 selected, you'll see the other piece of it.
Yes.
Or you do multiple options there as well, where you can see both potentially.
I don't know on that last question.
Okay.
Okay. Page split testing, so I briefly touched on this. So you can see here, I have this premium page competing against this Josh Hub Donate Hidden page. And this is native in the app. And so when you click create a page, it's in the bottom right, split testing. You can split test as many pages as you want. Kind of see how they do. You get this one unique URL. So essentially, the easiest place to kind of probably have the best value would just be take your main donation page and A/B test it every 2 weeks. Change one little thing. Move the button from the left to the right. Maybe your major gift officers have been begging you to add phone number to your donation page and making it mandatory, right? I know that's super scary, but maybe just to appease them, you say, okay, for 1 week we'll do it, and we're just going to have these two compete, and we're going to see which one gets filled out more, try to see if it makes a value. They'll come back and say, but look at these phone numbers, now people I can now call and run a wall screening on, and we're going to make more money in the end, right? Let's keep phone number. Yeah, those sneaky major gift officers, they're always trying to get phone numbers, so. But what's nice about this is, if you have this run, you actually end up getting, you get reporting results for each page. You can kind of see how each page is doing. You can either let us choose the page based on page completions, see which one did better, or you can go in manually and kind of see how those different things did. You can have multiple pages compete. I haven't seen the limit at this point. I've had like 7. I'm not sure if there's a limit past 7. But you can have like 7 listed here, and then they're just randomly assigned when someone clicks on that link. They're just going to randomly go to something. Yes?
Me?
Yes.
Yes. How does it work if it's the same URL?
The URL is just, the way that it's structured is that this URL is just, when someone clicks on it, it knows that it's set to alternate randomly between these two.
Okay.
And so that's just like natively built in. These two actually still retain URLs as well. So if there was some like Google Analytics work you wanted to do, you could actually still have parameters on these. That's a much deeper discussion that M&R figured out that we could talk about. So if you wanted to kind of, I'm not 100% how that works, but I was told that that's definitely how it works. So the first part I know for sure.
No, that's
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. 7?
Yeah, so if you're running this test and then the premium page wins, and so you then are testing it against a new page
Yes.
C, do you have to clone out page A, or does it reset those?
Yeah, it won't reset. You would clone it.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Yes.
And does this, obviously we're talking about donations here, but does this work also for the advocacy?
Absolutely. It works for events, it works for Hub. You can have lots of things going into each other. So. Other questions? Hey, Clint, can you go let the other presenters know 20 minutes? Sure. Political mapping. If anybody's real keen in our platform, you'll notice that this looks a lot like Legacy, not like Page Builder. Which it is. It's still a Legacy. It is going to move over to Page Builder. But it's one of those things that I didn't know until a client asked me, hey, can we do this? And I found that you could. So essentially what this lets you do is we have political mappings for all of Canada, all of the US. I'm going to stop there, so I'm not sure 100% on what we have in the UK, but Canada and the US probably contains most people in this room that are interested in these kind of things. But essentially what it lets you do is if a supporter has taken an action on your page, has taken an advocacy action, and you're using address verification, which is important, because that's what we have to use on an advocacy action for us to be able to match their constituent record, right? So we get those 4 digits, right? We do an automatic API grab to plug in those 4 zip, so that way we know exactly where the person lives, so we know who the representative is. Zip code isn't good enough, you have to have zip plus 4 to be able to use this. And then what you can do is, let's say you've been a client for a year, you've been running lots of advocacy actions, and then you say, you know what, we actually want to start targeting people based on who their senator is, or who their representative is, or who their local member of Congress, who their state attorneys general is, who their governor is. All that kind of information can all be mapped back to the user supporter record. And once it's mapped to the user supporter record, that means that you can put it into emails, So in other words, you could send an email, that said, we want you to XYZ, Governor Rick Scott in Florida. Right? You can actually just, and then it's conditionalized content. So that means that all of your constituents, you don't have to type, you don't have to have 50 things for all 50 states, you just have one, but you're just putting that value in, and then it's auto-populating that value in from your supporters. And so this is really neat, because this allows you to do, you can do House Representatives, Senate, state legislators, governor, state attorney general, and I know those files off my head, and then whatever the reciprocals are in Canada for each one of those. So both federal MPs and provincial MPs are all available in here to be mapped out. And it's just one of those things that I don't think a lot of people, I think a lot of our legacy, older clients that have been on for a while use, but I don't think it's something, for instance, like I know, like when I onboarded like you guys at, North Carolina, like, I wouldn't have known about this because it isn't in page builder yet, right? And so it's one of those things that I think it's important for people to know that if you're doing lots of advocacy and it's important, that you may want to start doing this. And you may want to start segmenting people based on who the representative is. That's something you can do as well. Yes?
So this is the way it's segmented. You're talking about conditional emails. Let's say you wanted people to call their governors, contact their governors. So this would map it that way, and then you would not have to put in, like, call governor so-and-so, so it automatically fills it for you?
Right, so you would do call governor, user data, governor first name, user data, governor last name. Like, and it would put that value, as long as there was a value for that person, it would plug it in there. So the only place there is that you'd want to create a profile that suppressed people that didn't have those values. So you could suppress those from your email sets.
It only goes, how far down does it go? Just to the state?
So as of right now, we're at the state level, that would do the mapping for. Yep. Other questions, Bill?
Yeah, can you do this against a short list of specific reps? Like, say, people who are on the judicial committee?
Okay.
For instance.
I mean, when you click model records, it's just gonna map whatever it has. So you can't tell it like only map the 21 people on the judicial committee, but it'll just map all the senators for you. But then in your email campaign, you may only choose people that belong to the profile that has those senators on it. Because what you do is you build a profile that said constituent data, senator last name equals, Flake, Collins, yada, so it's only gonna grab those two.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And just, you can create a fallback, right? So like in your governor example of governor.
Yeah. If you did a conditional sentence. Yeah. So the fallback only exists if you're sending conditional emails. Yeah.
Sorry, just quick, so you can mobilize, say, the whole nation to talk to one governor or one, is that possible?
I mean,
No, you just park
let me just think about how I answer that question. That is possible within the platform.
Okay, but not through this.
No, do this, sure. Well, I mean, you would just put that governor, if you were targeting Governor Rick Scott, you would just type Governor Rick Scott. You wouldn't pull in user data into that because I live in DC, my governor isn't that, so I wouldn't have a value for that.
Got it.
Yeah. What? So get used to that. Alright, how we go with that? Okay. We have origin source now. It's queryable in the UDX sometime in early 2019. This is something that my guess is more people will start to use it once it's queryable and reportable on. That's my assumption. So essentially there's both an origin source and then there's like a specific thing. So in other words, like the category is like Facebook, right? And then like it's, Facebook ad 9/29/2018 through 10/2/2018. Something like that, right? So you have both the category, and so we built it this way because we want to be able to kind of start doing some like macro level reporting across everybody to kind of see some like benchmarks. So that's why we have like the category. You have like an acquisition would be the category, and then like care to buy July 2018 would be like the actual origin source. You can set origin source for every page. You can actually put the page what the origin source is going to be, or you can import values if you know people's origin source. Let's say you did a care to buy back in 2017, and you still know those people are. You could import that. You could import that origin source into Engage Networks. That way, eventually, you can do reporting, right? See how those people are doing. Question about origin source?
pre-populated and you can add to it, or can you just put in any value?
So you can, so the categories are set,
Categories are set.
and we're definitely, we think we haven't had someone that needed a new category yet. So if you need a new category, you can just add it. But then the actual origin source, you can type whatever you want. One-click donation pages. So we do offer one-click donation pages. We don't offer one-click advocacy pages, although you could just, because I only think about this because someone just emailed me. If you had a two-step advocacy page, you could actually, from an email, have them skip page number 1. If that was all like their supporter demographic details, because we know that because we're going through an email. They go right to page 2, which is the submit button. And you can submit right from there. So it's kind of like a one-click advocacy action, something to think about. As long as you're using our email and our advocacy pages, you can skip to the second page of a campaign or a third page of a campaign. But this works entirely differently. So what has to happen here is that someone would have already had to have made a donation in Engage Networks. It could be a recurring donation or a single, but we have to have had that information have come through. Because essentially, you know, as I'm sure those of you who know a bunch about our system, we don't store credit card information. It's not in the system, but we tokenize it before we pass it over to the merchant. That allows us then, if a supporter got this, so your Visa ending in 1234 will be charged. So they click $10, they go to the one-click page, and it says, please confirm your gift of $10, and they click yes, and it goes through automatically. This is, once again, one of those things that would be worth it to test, just to see like how it did. You know, does this do better, does it do worse? Just so you know, one-click is a different transaction route in the export, which is nice, because that means you can kind of track it differently. You can kind of see how it's doing. Off the top of my head, I think it's nope, don't even know, so I'm not even going to there's no P there. But yeah, so that's one-click donation pages. And what you're actually seeing here, you can actually take this and you can put it into the email. So it can also be a part of the email. Just like next suggested gift strings can be part of the email. And they're clicking that out of the email and it's taking them to the page, so they're then able to go from there. What questions do you have on one-click donation pages?
So did you,
Oh yeah, sorry.
did you set up a strategy where you would have the same email like people, and then the people that had already given go to this one quick donation page and everybody else goes to the other one?
Yeah, so that'd be a great use for conditional content.
Yeah.
Do that first. Where your profile just has donated.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
What about like ACH? Because is that tokenized too? Like the
That's
bank,
a good question.
the bank info?
It
Like,
is.
I'm just curious if it's something
Yeah.
that wasn't a credit card transaction.
That's a really good question. Why don't you just email us that? And I'll take a look at that. I'm not sure. I'm going to obviously have to tokenize it if it was a recurring. I don't know what we do if it's a single gift though. Other questions on one-click donation pages? Number 11. I think we'll talk a lot about this. You may have seen it in another presentation. So we have email engagement score. I know that this may not be the email engagement score that you would create if you create one. But you didn't start a company 20 years ago and make a decision, and Graham did, and this is what we have. So this is what we use. And what's nice is at least it's something. And it's static, it's not going to change, and in all honesty, you probably weren't going to make one anyway. You think you're going to make one, but you probably weren't. Now maybe some of you have, and that's great. But what's nice about this is we actually know it for all of our clients across the board, right? So once again, as we are continuing to grow, as we are continuing to do benchmark analysis and things like that, these kind of things allow us to do that if we have a shared kind of static set that we kind of compare things against. One of the nice things about email engagement scores is you're able to build profiles based off them. So if you're one of those like hard-hitting, advocacy organizations, you may not want to be sending lots of stuff to your 11s because you may have lots of like spam traps and honeypots and things like in there that may end up ruining or taking down your send to domain rep. Right? So think about things like that. You should be sending to 11s at year ends. 100% absolutely. But the other nice thing is you can take profiles and you can build profiles for marketing automation that try and grab some of these lapsed supporters and try and get them to just click on an email. right? The best email I ever sent had a subject line of lowercase b, because we forgot to update it before we send it, but it had like a 39% open rate, right? Which means now all those people that were 11s, maybe now they're a 1, because they sent out an email, which is great. But that's one of those places where, you can drop people in, and when you're thinking about marketing automation, little plug for tomorrow, we do have a marketing automation panel discussion, followed immediately after that by me and the client support team, and Brandon Fuller, who used to have my job. We'll be doing hands-on help with marketing automation workflows. So if you want to sit down with your laptop and click and do things, you can come and we'll actually walk people through those kind of things. But you can make a marketing automation that grabbed everybody with a score of 10 and put them through a 5 or 6 week, maybe 10 email series where you're literally just trying to get them to click on something. And as soon as they click on an email, they automatically exit out, and now they're back in your normal churn. They're going to be getting appeals and getting advocacy ads, right? And so that's one of those things you're able to do if you kind of flex a lot of these things together.
So Ben, a lot of people were asking earlier in the automation thing that Gabby
Yes.
and Brandon did was, I want to re-engage these people, or I'm trying to re-engage my 11s through Facebook advertising and things like that.
Okay.
Right? So if they click through a Facebook ad and take an action,
Yes.
they're not technically clicking through an email. Does that adjust their email engagement score? The fact that they're an action taker in less than a week?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know that one actually. I'd have to ask Dan or Josh that. I know the answers. Yeah. Anyone else? Questions on this one? Duplicate management. So this came out in June. So it's mass deduplication management inside of Engage Networks. So you email me if you want this turned on in your account. It's pretty intensive, so we just turn on when people want it, and it will turn on for you. So you can see this account has 1.1 million supporters, and it thinks that there are possibly 29,000 duplicates inside. And essentially, our matching rules for this are a fuzzy match on first name with an exact match on postcode. So that's how it's getting this number. When you click Start Review, what it's going to do is it's going to query your database with your first supporter. And it's going to look for a fuzzy match on first name and an exact match on postcard for supporter number 1. And it's going to go through all a million. And it's going to do the next one. And then it's going to do the next one. And then it's going to do the next one. It only does it up to it's either 100 or 1,000 that it will kind of have in this. When you click Start Review, it would then have either 100 or 1,000 waiting for you. And then as you do, let's say you do 10, it would then re-push 10 back in there until you get that number down to 0. The reason for that is because it's so intensive, right? It's taking one supporter and trying to match it against 1.1 million records that we don't just want that. It would just take up all the job time, and then no one could ever send an email, right? And so just kind of over time, you can kind of get in here and start to clear out those duplicates. What's nice when you click Start Review, it would essentially say, we think supporter A and supporter B are the same. It would show you the information of why they think it's the same, and then you're able to make a decision yes, the people are the same, or no, they're not the same. If you say yes, you then go to a merge screen, where it says, what values do you want to merge? But what's nice is it keeps all of their transactions and get merged into one person, which is kind of nice. If you're interested in this, email me, let's talk about it, let's figure out how you want to use it, so that way you can just be successful using it, all right? Questions on mass duplication?
There's a cog, can you change the matching rules?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's per account, at account level 7. All right, and then, I think it's my last one. Profiles with or without peer-to-peer. Yeah, that's my last one. So this is something that we just recently added. I don't know how many of you are utilizing our peer-to-peer tools, but we do have peer-to-peer. It's built into the app. Once again, we are trying to be an integrated eCRM for everything you want to do, fundraising, advocacy, email related. And so one of the things that we had to add, since we're trying to be inclusive with our peer-to-peer platform, is the ability to include or exclude donations that have been made peer-to-peer when you build out your profiles. Because maybe sometimes you want your profile to include peer-to-peer giving, other times you don't. So if you're using us for peer-to-peer, I would see shoulders.benjamin@gmail.com. I would see my transactions, and I would see both peer-to-peer giving and single giving under one supporter record. Because, one unified platform. And then this allows me on any of the ones that include fundraising to include or exclude donations that have been made on a peer-to-peer page. One of the things to keep in mind then is that when you build out profiles, there are then 6 separate peer-to-peer profiles that you can build out. Everything from like registration to donated to total amount to how much you've raised, all those kind of things. So that's all kind of there, like inherent in there. Is I wanted to make sure you knew that this wasn't the only control for peer-to-peer. There is separate peer-to-peer ones. And I'm just going to like piggyback off that and say one of the things you could do is that if you knew who your peer-to-peer fundraisers were and you were using this platform, you could build marketing automations that reminded those peer-to-peer people to post on the social media with their peer-to-peer pages, right? So then you're getting organic content generated by your supporters on social media that link back to marketing automation emails that you're sending out, giving them content, hashtags, images, to then post on social media, right? So you're actually interacting with your supporters and trying to convince them, like, hey, this is the thing they kind of post. If they're a peer-to-peer fundraiser, they're probably one of your highest leverage supporters that are out there. They want to do these things for you. They want to help you out. They want to help you raise more money. So they're probably going to post, right? And we know that Facebook, about 6 months ago, kind of changed how pages function and what you're actually seeing in your feed. Pages went down. Content from friends and family went up, right? 4 years ago, they totally switched that model. They went back on themselves. So you can get friends and family posting about HIAS or posting about Human Rights Watch or posting about NWF, right? People are going to see that. They're going to see your peer-to-peer fundraising pages, and they're going to donate to you more. This is kind of something to think about as you're trying to figure out kind of how to use these profiles in the best kind of way, how to think about peer-to-peer giving. That's my in-person tips and tricks. I hope you guys all liked it. If you have any questions, you can obviously email me. You can go to the support portal. I don't know if that one's going to show up, but all the rest of them will show up. If you just want to type in those in. We're also obviously taking all of these. We'll put out videos for every single one of them. Slide decks will be available for all of them, probably by the end of October, maybe beginning of November. So they'll all be out. That's what I got. Any other questions? We have 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
When someone donates, is there an option where they could say share that with their friends? Like, hey, I just donated with X organization.
Yeah. So on your post action page, you would put the social share buttons on that page,
Got
and then you can control what both the Twitter messages and the Facebook message. We actually have a built-in Facebook debugger to know exactly what it kind of looks like on the back end. Yep. Yes.
On the premium donation pages, is it possible, I saw that they're linked, like tote bag is $50 and shirt's $100. Is it possible to delink it from the donation amount so you could say somebody can choose between a pen or a plush, basically?
So you can have more than one option that someone can select from.
Okay.
Based on the amount they give.
Gotcha.
And if it doesn't work there, you can always kind of flex on the e-commerce store once that comes out. And just so you know, you guys all get e-commerce if you're a current client. You don't have to pay any more for it. There's a transaction. It's the same transactions as the normal transaction fees, but that's just added into your platform automatically. We're turning it on this week. You'll see it turned on. It's gray right now, and I think once this conference is over, we have time. We're actually going to go turn it on. So you'll see that. That's going to be my Okay. Yeah, you'll see e-commerce sometime this week. Yeah. That's why it came out on Friday. I have some testing.
I was gonna say, because I saw it in the account today for the first time. It's great. It's present. It's grayed out.
Yeah.
It's grayed out.
Yeah, so e-commerce and then membership will be on by the end of this year. You'll have a quick membership as well. So. Any other questions?